Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Data Miners with Venue Performance. I am joined, as ever, by the unflappable Peter Heath. How are you, Peter?
I'm very well, thank you, Martin. Yep, all good.
Good. It's been busy, isn't it?
Yes, it has been busy. We've seen an uplift, not yet in the data. We'll come on to that in a minute, but the general mood of our wonderful industry, is positive. So that's great.
Excellent stuff. Now, for the benefit of those who haven't tuned into Data Miners before, what we do is we always look at the previous month's data, the venues who are participating with Venue Performance and piling in with all their numbers and stats, and we're trying to build up a picture of where the industry is. So, of course, it's early days because we're in this rather unpleasant situation where there are no actual events happening at the moment, but nonetheless, since the 22nd of February, things are looking a little bit rosier, and that's sort of where we're looking at today. While we're looking at February's data, the month didn't actually begin until the Prime Minister came out with his roadmap announcement. We're looking for restricted capacity events happening from the 17th of May and then a full unlocking from the 21st of June, all things being well. So, Peter, I guess the Prime Minister's roadmap announcement on the 22nd must have been some manner of watershed moment. Can you give us an idea of what the data showed after Boris told the Commons that the end was in sight?
It was. There has been change, or at least there's been change from January. So whether that change is the beginning of a trend, we will find out when we come to this time next month when we look at March's data. So in the context, as we keep saying, probably get a bit boring with that now, in the context of what we have seen so far from the data, there has been a change, but the data is a very small piece of data. And I think we always caution people for making decisions based on limited amount of data or from snapshots of data. That's a bit folly to make decisions based on those, but to make decisions based on the 1 week's worth of data, of course, is even more silly. So hopefully people won't.
It gives us a lay of the land, doesn't it? I mean, it's certainly a point in the right direction. If after the 22nd of Feb and we'd be given this roadmap and all of a sudden there were no bookings, then we'd be worried. So, of course, what we have got is certainly encouraging, surely.
Yeah, yes, it is. It's an indicator. And I think there is pent-up demand. There's pent-up desire for people to get back to face-to-face, obviously commercial as well as private, and those two sectors, if you like, have different dynamics to them, but the general uplift is a positive one, albeit small and not yet robust that we can see. So yeah, we'll have to wait.
Sounds like a step in the right direction. Now, your latest column is coming out in the next issue of Conference News, where you have highlighted a couple of interesting snips that I wanted to just quickly touch upon. Now, in your latest contribution, you note that there was a 20% uplift in meeting bookings after the announcement. Given that such short time frame, do you think that really is an encouraging sign?
I think so. I mean, any uplift is encouraging, isn't it? I mean, it's also worth pointing out when you mentioned right at the beginning of this that events aren't going ahead. Well, actually, events are going ahead, albeit very small and in COVID secure sort of environments and what have you. So it's not as if there's absolutely nothing going ahead. But yeah, there's a 20% uplift in meetings, which I think is again a positive sign of encouragement for people wanting to get back face to face, or actually needing to get back face to face. I think those meetings are probably the meetings that need to take place rather than want to take place. Same with conferences. Conferences and meetings are generally speaking necessary. They're not just nice to have, they're necessary. Conferences are where, announcements, sales kickoffs, product launches, they're really necessary, as are meetings. So those are the ones that gave us the initial spike of things coming back sooner than, I don't know, banqueting, for example, which is possibly.
We'll come on to banqueting in a moment, and that's interesting. I just wanted to kind of touch on the size, really, of the events that you've seen come through so far, although only in that short time frame. I mean, are we looking mostly at small meetings? They're the first ones to come back. Were there any signs of larger events, larger conferences?
Not huge. I mean, getting it. As you would expect, the further away they're being booked for, then the bigger the size becomes, because there's more confidence. So for example, if there's conferences booked for 2022, for example, they're fairly meaty conferences, but they're very few and far between. So most of the bookings in February post well, we think post lockdown message, were for modest conference sizes, modest meeting sizes towards the back end of the year, when events obviously can be allowed. So yeah, modest ones this year, bigger ones will kick in 2022, I'd imagine.
Yeah, that sounds probably about right. I think we'll certainly see a trickle in the summer, but it's going to be interesting to see what March's data yields when we get talking about that towards the end of April in episode 3. But on March, I mean, I didn't even know this was a thing until I found myself in the crossfire of an argument somewhere else. But apparently there was a ban on site visits. People weren't actually allowed to go out to venues and have a look around before committing. And I didn't even know that was a thing. Anyway, we covered it quite a bit on Conference News, and it created quite a stir. And so much so that the Department for Culture, Media and Sport, for those who don't know, that's the government department that oversees the events industry, actually altered their guidance, and now site visits are permitted from Monday the 29th of March, where the stay-at-home rule is no longer enshrined in law. People can step out of their front doors into the wide world again. So now that site visits are going to be allowed, as far as I understand, that was causing a bit of a blockage. People were not committing, not booking because they hadn't seen the venue. Do you expect that to have an impact on maybe not March's data, but maybe April's?
Yeah, I think so. I think that there's a I'm going to use it anyway, but there's a horrible turn of phrase that I was thinking about, which is I think the site visits are definitely they oil the booking process, don't they? Because, you look at the facts, you look at what you need, the statistics, the logistics, and you can do virtual visits. Everything's on the web these days. That's all good. So you can tick off the majority of your check sheet, as it were, but actually going in and seeing it physically, meeting the team, that brings a whole new dimension to signing on the dotted line. And I think until those are allowed, or as you quite rightly pointed out, until they have been allowed, there's been probably a reluctance for people to commit. So I believe very strongly that they'll be very welcomed by both parties to get people back in, and that will ensure the booking process, as opposed to just an inquiry process, is speeded up. So yeah.
That's really good. So let's talk about banqueting, because banqueting is just a sort of an anomaly, really. We see banqueting as events and part of the events industry, but actually, as far as the government's concerned, it's not, because of the way it is. People sitting down at tables, eating, serving drinks, all that sort of thing. It actually comes under the hospitality guidance. So there's a bit of a delay on when banqueting is probably going to be allowed back. So have you seen any evidence to suggest banqueting has got kind of a go date, an unofficial go date? And correct me if I'm wrong, but in your column, I swear you said that you'd seen a Christmas party get booked already.
Well, yes, I have. There was a Christmas party, big Christmas party booked. But I think that's possibly an outlier in the data, as in there's somebody crazier out there somewhere that's going to just go for it. So they've booked their preferred venue. But banqueting, I think, is a lot more based on the booker as opposed to the guidelines. Because if you think about the very nature of banqueting, you want to enjoy you're sitting next to somebody, you want to enjoy a nice meal, a conversation, food share, well, not food sharing, but the food's being delivered to your plate. So the whole essence of a banquet is non-COVID sort of conducive, if you like. So I think people will be nervous about booking banquets, and that certainly showed in the data, because there are hardly any banquets and sort of food-based events being booked, which is kind of as you would expect, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. I can't believe people planning Christmas already. So we just had Christmas, didn't we?
Yeah. But there used to be two big spikes for Christmas party bookings. One was in January, so immediately after the Christmas party. And what used to happen, and who knows if this is going to return, it was either so good that the boss wanted to book that one again because everybody had such a brilliant time, so make sure we get that one again, or it was so bad, so make sure we get a better one next year. And to do that, you've got to get in early. So January always saw a spike of bookings. And of course, after summer, which is usually September, there was another spike because people then came out of winter and out of spring, and now they were thinking about Christmas. And summer was finished, they're thinking about Christmas. So January there was a spike, September there was a spike. So again, it'll be interesting to see whether those two trends return this year as well. But yeah, some people book early for Christmas. Some people book in January for their summer holiday, Martin. You're obviously not one of those people.
I'm proper lastminute.com. It's like last year we didn't know what was going on, and we found a place in Devon for a week's getaway. I think we left the day, after the Prime Minister gave us our first full restart day. We didn't book it about a week before. So yeah, Airbnb, quickly, that'll do. I'm not very good at planning holidays in advance. Proper lastminute.com.
Well, there are people like that in the events industry as well. They do things last minute. And then, of course, you just have limited choice. So, you have to roll with it.
But it keeps things exciting. It does keep things fresh.
Well,
okay, so we obviously want everyone to get involved, where possible, to help us build up a bigger, stronger, more reliable data set, I guess. So last thing, really, how many venues are we sort of like looking at here at the moment in the context of what we've just discussed? And, how can we get more venues on side? Where can they go to join up and put their data in?
Well, we've got enough venues for there to be a robust data set. We've got about 80 odd venues at the moment taking part in the in the platform. So and they're all in London as well. So let's be clear, they're all London venues at this moment. We do have plans to be released soon about a move into the north and out to the regions, as it were. But at the moment we've got about 80. To get involved, just get hold of me somehow, somewhere, and I'll give you a demo. And once you see the demo, you'll join, because it's such a good, swift piece of benchmarking data. So more the merrier.
Good. You just entered a partnership with HireSpace as well, Ed Poland and the gang. Yeah,
we have. I think it's necessary to put the context on the data. HireSpace have got a lot of digital intent. They've got a lot of search data, so they can map what's going on in the digital world, and then we've got what's going on in the actual physical, dare I say it, real world. So I think you'll see that you'll see us not sharing data, but sharing the insights from what the data is telling us. We can't share the data because obviously it's not our data, it's our client's data, so we can't go sharing that. To be clear there. But we can share the insights and the trends for what the data is telling us, and HireSpace can do that from a digital point of view. So there's a natural coming together there that we both felt would be beneficial for the industry.
We'll have to invite Ed on to join Data Miners for an episode.
Yeah, bring him on. Ed likes a bit of data. We all love a bit of data.
So I've been bad at inviting him onto my thing. So I think we'll have to see to that. Ed, I'll be in touch. Okay, Peter, great chat as ever, insightful as ever. And those of you who want to learn more, pick up the latest issue of Conference News in print or online. You'll find not just Peter's fantastic column, but of course, we're after a whole other information as well. So until next month, thank you very much.
Thanks, Martin.